This is Thursday morning and the courage hour. So let's have a few minutes to mastermind around courageous acts or whatever you would like to mastermind around.
Okay, I got something for you guys.
Okay.
So 2 weeks ago, I was all gung ho, like, okay, I'm going to buy my mom's house and turn that into an Airbnb so that when the farm sells and it's turned into a park, I can have all these people come there. And now the last like 48 hours, I'm like, oh, who am I fooling? Like, oh, that's just so much work. Do I really want to put my time into that? Is that my zone of genius? You know, it's like, I like the idea of the end result, but investing in it and so now I'm like, okay, am I just like, is that fear? Or, you know, it's fear stopping me, or is it that I'm not supposed to be doing it?
That's a big question.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now what do I do, Terry?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everything we do, we can do in fear of freedom, right? So we can even have doubts and wonder and still be in freedom. I think doubting and, questioning ourselves is not a fearful thing. Sometimes it's a necessary thing, right? So it's a big project. So questioning yourself and wondering if it's the right thing to do, I think is not an indication of being in fear. It's a process of making a decision, right? So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big decision to make. And
so real quick, Nancy, when you say it's the work you're afraid of, is it the time commitment? Like, okay, I've got to go clean this. I've got to follow up after the guests. I got to do all the blah, blah, blah. Because like, that's something you can pawn off on a management company. Like people do it all the time with Airbnbs. Like it's
I'm not
a difficult
that
thing. So like, it's one of those things like, yeah, if you wanted to run a B&B as a side business so that you could have that not only stream of income, but have some place for people to come. Yeah, you could make it happen, but you could also have the support in doing it too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is definitely, I'm not doing that. Like, I know that part. It's all right, do I want to invest really, at least $500,000 here?
Yeah.
And then and I know I just have to put the numbers together. Like once I see it and see what the payback is and how long that's going to take, that will be part of the decision. But it's also like, gosh, I'm just having more freedom, like, and time in my life. And then how much do I want to put into remodeling a house and, decorating it? And I don't know. I mean, I could hire somebody to do all of that, but then I have to pay them.
Yeah. So have you made a list? I mean, I don't know how far you are in the process, but have you made a list of the pros and cons and the wants and the needs? And, have you put all that down so you can really, make that decision based on all of the components of?
No, I'm not that far. And I think that actually might be even some of it is it's like, now that it's getting real and I'm starting to put together stuff like that. It's like, oh, like, is this where I want to spend my time?
Yeah. And I think that's a valid question. And so now what do you do to answer that question? And we're out of time. So we'll talk about it when we come back.
Okay. Well, I won't be here in the end, but
I've
got some ideas on my next steps. So thank you very much.
Great.
Okay.
Have a good coffee.
Thanks.
So let's talk about courage to make a decision. I think, even though Nancy's not here, what are some of the things that you go through when I mean, I think it's just human nature to be wondering like she is. It's not fear so much. It's, the process of making a decision, right?
Right.
And so what do you do when you've got a decision to make and you're not sure what you want to do?
I think a lot of the things like we talked about, what is the cost versus benefit? What are the pros and cons? And what's the end result going to be? Is this really worth it in the end?
Yeah. And sometimes, welcome back, Becky. How did you do with your intention?
I did well, got connected with Nicole and made some progress.
Great, great. We were just kind of continuing the discussion about the courage to make decisions, and you can sit and worry about it, which worry is not a productive behavior, correct? It's a self-defeating behavior, or you can start to take action. And I think it's natural to have doubts, and that's part of the process. So we were just kind of talking about, Stephanie was saying what she does when she has to make a decision. And sometimes we just have to trust our intuition and go with it. And then if it fails, it fails, and we learn the lesson. And if it doesn't, then we can readjust and move on, because we can't always know. We can have a projected outcome, but we can't always know the outcome, because that's in the future, and the future's unknown, right? But we can set up as many choice points as we go along so that we can have that I call it intuition. I call it the Holy Spirit too. It just tells you, keep going. It's, you get that validation that you're on the right path. And then if you don't, then it's time to do the process again, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I was just having this discussion with a woman that was like, I have a decision I need to make, and a big one. And I just keep going back and forth, and we've talked about it here and there at meetings, but when we were talking through it, and she would give me pros and cons of each and pros and cons of the other. And I was like, here's the awesome thing. And it was about a job offer, right? So it was a big decision. It was, life-changing for her to decide which one. And they really were like neck and neck, but it's like, one is absolute change. One is you must step up and create more change. So what I said, the beautiful thing is that whether you take that job or you stay with this job, what's awesome? You'll never know if it was the right decision or not, because when you make it, I'm going to encourage you to go full in on whichever way you go. If it's to stay, then commit to what you want to change. And if you want to go, you're still going to be committing to the change. So make the decision and know that you're never going to know, was it the right decision? Was it not? It's the decision that we make. Yeah. And committing to what we say yes to or no to, and being confident in it will help us create the results that we want, or it will help us learn along the way in order to say, I can do something different.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we don't attach to a specific outcome, I mean, like, specific detailed outcome, we open ourselves to maybe something even better. So it's that willingness to trust yourself, which is a part of courage, to trust whatever it was, your intuition, your spirit that helped you to do it. But it's making the decision that takes the courage, just doing it, right? We can sit and think about it and make a list and make another list and talk to this person and talk to that person and sit in it for so long that it almost becomes impossible to make a decision. And some people, that's their nature, to gather information and not make decisions. And other people make decisions like that without any information, So again, it's partly our nature as well, because that's why Kelly and I can work together, is because she's a gatherer and I'm a decider. And so she aims and aims and aims and aims. and I fire before I ever aim. So it's a good match for her to help me, take a pause and listen to my intuition, be still and listen and move ahead. And it helps. And I help her to say, you've got enough information now. Let's make the decision. So it used to bug us. And then when we recognized those were our gifts, when we put them together, it makes a good, way to make decisions.
You can more clearly hit the target.
Yeah. And just the fact that one of the things I learned in Fearless Living that I never even thought about was detaching from outcomes. Because we don't, the future, I heard somebody say the other day, the past is where you get depressed, the future is where you get anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Just live in the here and now. And if you make a decision moment by moment, there's going to be an outcome, and you don't know what it is for sure.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And that was the thing. She's like, this person says yes, this person says no, this person says yes. And I was like, wow, it sounds like you've talked to a lot of people about it, but what does your gut tell you? Like, you already know what makes sense for you. So follow that and know that you obviously have a lot of people to support you, and you gathered information, and now just make the decision and fully commit to the yes or no.
Yeah.
And you're right, whatever you choose.
Yeah. And Stephanie, I was thinking, like we've been working together long enough. I know some of the decisions you made when you decided to work for the school and then it didn't work. And then what's happened since then is you've gotten all these opportunities that you may not have had if you kept working where you weren't happy. So again, you learn from that, right? You made that decision, then you decided it was the wrong decision. And then, and I think that sometimes fear keeps us from saying, I made the wrong decision. And that's part of the process. If we don't go for it and we don't try it and we don't have the courage to say, this wasn't for me, this isn't working for me, that was the wrong decision in that moment, in this moment, this is my decision. Yeah. Helps a lot, huh? to know, to be able to have the courage to do that, because, yeah.
You're jumping right in. You're like, let's go.
Let's go. So she's certainly an example. Her name is Adrienne. An example of courage in, when you talk about courage, there's so many layers to courage, right? We were talking about making decisions, our day-to-day decisions, and then courage to have a vision and go through whatever it takes, whatever's thrown at you and not give up. That's a different level of courage, right? One's not more important than the other. They're just different. And I see almost everything we do as an act of courage, because to me, courage itself as a word denotes faith and so many other awesome concepts as well. So anyway, courage.
Well, from the example you were sharing with us, like, that is a really big, amazing vision to like have in reality. And the fact that it's the groundbreaking, that's a really not pinnacle, because it's the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
What's interesting is that I'm thinking about, like, which is definitely not apples to apples, but the process of becoming a managing director. Like, it was, oh yay, I say yes, like 2 months ago. And then it's a process to then actually, yes, this is happening. And now I'm in another process before it's like official and I'm trained and all of that. So there's definitely milestones. And this is a piece of vision building that I consistently am finding I want and need to practice more, is like setting my sights on milestones to know, like, it is a process, because I am someone that really can focus on the big dream and I can do the day-to-day, but it really would support me more to know milestones to get it to those smaller steps and to really feel the power that comes from taking the small steps to get to the milestone, to take the small steps to get to the next milestone, to then actually have like the big vision always be able to be there, and to know, you know, that next milestone is, you know, there already, and it's kind of laid out, and you can be in the flow of it, right? It never looks the same.
Yeah.
It never goes the exact way we plan. And that's by design that it doesn't. But I think milestones is definitely what comes to mind for me, and knowing like groundbreaking day is the
One of
start.
those. Yeah, 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 yeah. And for that, in that example, I mean, it's like the groundbreaking. Then the next milestone will be the grading and the laying out of the, you know, where the homes are going to go. And then, you know, so there's definitely visual milestones when you're building something. I mean, when we built our first home, we went and took pictures at every milestone, you know, that we knew it was, here it was, and we could document it in a scrapbook. Who makes scrapbooks anymore? But anyway, we did that. And so for you, I'm sure there are some structured milestones within the organization of Polka Dots, but there's also then you can clearly mark out what your personal milestones are, so that you know when you meet that milestone. And the milestone may change by the time you get to it, but just having that as a support to you to break down the big idea, because I'm a big idea person as well, which is why Kelly's so good for me, because she's the, you know, the detail person. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that we're talking about like building and foundation, because, well, last year, August was the month of building. So like we have a lot of conversations already about how to build foundations in order to, you know, be stronger along the way. And I love the visual of, you know, we have to architect a plan, and then we lay the foundation, and we put up the walls, and we put in the insulation and the security and like all of those pieces. It's just, it is a really great reminder of each piece matters.
Yeah. 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 And even in a house, building a house, you can change things, right? Oh, I decided I want the closet here, or I want this there, you know, as you're in the process of executing the plan, you know, there's still that opportunity for flexibility and flow as you go along, because as you're living moment by moment, your mind is growing as well. Your vision is growing. Everything's growing. Like right now, the next word I say is based upon the moment before, right? So it's really important that we understand that. And that's something I never understood, as, you know, the first 65 years of my life when I was trying to figure life out. Yeah, it is the moment, you know, and that's where you want to have the go with your gut and use that inspiration from God to really help you, you know, make those decisions. Yeah. Well, it is 10 after, and Stephanie's going to close this hour for me because I have to be at the doctor's at 8 o'clock. So thank you, ladies. Go forth and live your intentions, and I'll see you soon.